Hello YouTube. Today we're doing a HeroQuest showing all the parts and talking about the game for as long as I can. One of the great things about this game is that it is a proper introduction to both role-playing and miniatures. So if you're wanting to start off one of your kids in one of those directions as a fan person or as a person who plays such games, this is a good starting point. Right now on Amazon, you can find these anywhere from about 150 plus tax and shipping and handling to in the vicinity of about 500 bucks. And those are majority open boxes. However, I have heard rumors that there are places where you can get this same set for somewhere in the original price. Some of them are unopened, some of them are not. It's a board game. People don't make it out to be a collector's item. I spent 150 bucks plus shipping and handling on this. My wife had a conniption over that, but nevertheless, I got it, and she ended up being happy for it. Though she got kind of annoyed because this is a fog of war type of game. You start off in a room, and you can only see what you can see per your line of sight until you've unveiled the whole board or have achieved all your ends. As you reveal a room, that room is visible from that point forward. And it has an sundry pieces of monsters, furniture, heroes, and we're going to go over all of that. Understand, though, that my set is painted, and it was painted by an in-law of mine. And if you like his work, he does a lot of Warhammer stuff. He does all sorts of stuff. And you can find him at dragoncoinart.com, all one word. Okay. Though I don't know why I need to say that anymore. But yes, if for whatever reason you haven't understood what I've said, I'm going to make sure that right about around here, that will be placed to dragoncoinart.com. Though I'm not accustomed to editing, so please forgive me. So, I'm going to show you the exterior, then I'm going to show you the pieces on the inside, which I've done my best to protect. Obviously, you've been looking at the cover. Very, very beautiful. The reason why this particular model did not cost me somewhere in the vicinity of about $500 is because it is fairly tore up. It is not a perfect box, by no means. There are some pieces that are slightly busted and have been modified because of that. The original pieces, I will explain how they look, or there might be some things in here that allow me to show you how they originally looked, and so on. So let's start with the lid. Okay. Now, of course, beautiful artwork on the front, and some information on various pieces on the inside, especially assembly. Next up, we have what's called the armory. The one thing that I wish about this is that when they had made it, they had made a more expansive armory, and on the back had talked about these pieces. I would have been much happier with that. Next up is the GM blind. It has cheat sheet information on it. This is the guy that you play, and honestly, from the perspective that I come from, what I really had wished is I wish that you didn't play the bad guy, that the bad guy was one of the two turns that you take. One of the turns was the game master's turn, running and operating the game, and the other turn would be playing this guy. And yeah, most people would disagree with me, but still. the game board. That's right, it's black. Completely and entirely black. Nothing on it at all whatsoever. Ah. And I know what you're thinking. How does that work? Well, I'm going to show you some of the pieces. There are many of you who remember this game. There are many of you who still play this game and will understand. So if there are some things that I miss, like I always say, if I miss anything, if I did not cover anything, either request it or comment on it down below. Let's move on. So, I do things differently. I always have, I always will. It's just simply my nature. The reason why I do things differently is because you have to preserve what you have to the best of your ability. I'm going to start off with some furniture, and then I'm going to move to some of the figurines, and then I'm going to show you some of the books and the dice. Okay? So the first piece of furniture that I want to show you are the two most common pieces of furniture in HeroQuest, and most people would disagree. Doorways. You will have some closed doorways, and you will have many more open doorways. You do not actually have to make your person pass through the doorway. You just say, I moved through the door. These pieces are really hard to keep intact because they're thin pieces of cardboard. Yes, much more rigid than average cardboard, but nevertheless, it's still thin pieces of cardboard, and I honestly wish these had been plastic. Something as durable as the figurines and furniture commonplace to the game. And honestly, I wish they had been just slightly bigger. It would have been nice to be able to move my character through the door. That's kind of cool. However, it would be klutzy at best. Handful of tiles. There are some tiles, and the tiles do various different things. You know, this is a blockage. This is a rock fall. Things of that like nature. And one of the major things that I'm disappointed about in the American version of this game, as opposed to the British version, and I really do wish that I had both compiled into one box, is in the British version, you have tiles for all the traps. In the American version, you only have so many tiles, and you kind of have to make it up as you go. But anyways, let's do furniture. The throne. I had mine painted a dingy gold. I don't know if you can see that too well. Maybe if I turn on a light. I highly doubt that helps anymore. But what I wanted is I wanted all of my dungeon pieces to be dark. I wanted my heroes to be lighter and brighter, and I wanted the dungeon to be dark and creepy and scary. And it comes across for what I'm seeing on the screen, sort of like a dingy brass. But in my hand, it is, I wouldn't say a tarnished gold, but a messed up gold, like somebody had dirtied the area, and I like it that way. Let's see if I can find all my chests, because whenever I put it on the back of the couch, everything kind of went everywhere. They are not all faced the right way. You get 3 chests in the set. Honestly, I would have been happier if these had been solid plastic, things that actually open up, and then, stuff like that. But it still would have been a little too clumsy and a little too complicated. So I kind of understand why they went this way. You have a couple of, I call them park bench tables, because to me, that's what they are. These ones I didn't have painted, and really there wasn't a lot of material to paint. Must be getting allergies or something. And there's not a lot going on there, but nevertheless, couple of tables, interesting stuff. This is a weapons rack, and I'm going to try to hold it closer. Most of the paint on this is much more dingy. I wanted a much more rusty look, with like one weapon being a temptation. So I'm going to kind of try to hold it closer. I don't know how much of that detail you can pick up, but there is a lot of detail put into this. A lot more detail than you might see. And also, I asked for dark. Dark, you're not going to get very easily visible details. And that's pretty much the way that is. All right. Now, you're not probably going to be able to tell it from the original, but this was a very flat gray, and he made all of the detailing on it just pop. And I really like that. I mean, I like how that looks. It just shines, and that is perfect. Especially if you know how to do some lighting effects for your board games, which I don't do. A little bit of light would make this really stand out. All right, this one you're not going to really be able to see very well. First of all, this is the rack. Okay, in Origin, on the rack, these arms are supposed to be pivoted from each other. The problem with that is that this thing is so short that if they were pivoted from one another, you couldn't get a decent rack pull. That's just the way it is. So you would have a person on either side pulling at the same time in the same direction. I'm going to try to show you the rat on here as best as I can, but there's some mild blockages. There we go. And also, I wanted the surface of this to be marked with blood and yucky stuff. And so, essentially speaking, the rat's getting a meal. And I don't know if you're going to be able to pick that up too well. I mean, I do see some splotchiness in the frame right in here, but I don't know how well you're going to be able to pick up the rest of the stuff. It's just really well done. He took what there was very minimal of and brought out a lot of detail, and I really like that. This is the altar. Originally, there are candles on this. The candles were broken, and there were a couple of extra skulls in this pack, and I put those skulls on the altar. I'm going to start from the back and move my way around front. Those are the back of the skulls in the back of the book. Isn't that just cool? And this is this thing in the middle is a bookmark, essentially speaking. Very well done. Up next, I'm going to do the cabinetry before I do anything else. In the fireplace. Just some fine-tuned wood detailing. You really can't tell these from the original. I'm going to do these two first, just because. More detailing on the skulls and the rat than really anything else that you can note clearly. And I mean, it's just nicely done. But the pantry I like the most. Those were made to be wood colored, to look solid. On this, what I asked for was some molding around the plastic area. Now, understand, none of these cardboard parts are painted. The part that I'm showing you is this upper part, and it still has some of that fine detail on top, but as you can see, there's some gook right there, and that's a deliberate painting. You know, you're in a dark, dank dungeon. There's not going to be some fresh food in there or supplies. It's all going to be rotten out, and I think he did a good job right in this area. Kind of made it look a little scuzzy. All right. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on the camera at all whatsoever, but on this piece, you know, this is the original color. This down here, and this is what he did to the area. He made it a little ashy. He darkened the wood a little bit. It really makes the fire in the fireplace pop against the plastic. Just very nice, very cool. Some highlighting details, and next up, I may have to take this part off. These are the scales that come on the alchemist table. I believe that they were very well brassed up kind of looking, or maybe bronze-ish kind of looking. I don't know what you're gonna see on the other end. That's the only problem with that. On this, there is not as much paint as there is bringing out of detail. Let's reveal what's on the table, and really that's what I wanted. I mean, originally I did not know that there were 2 sheets of paper in the open drawer. I did not notice the feather. I did not notice the little inkwell next to the feather and the pieces of paper. But let me show you. And all he did was make those pop out. That's about all that it is he made those way more visible. And I like that a lot. All right. The monsters are up next. I'm going to do my best to do them in groups. All this stuff here is to protect the figurines. You know, this is a classic. We have to keep this as intact as possible. So, let's start with the gargoyle. You might not notice much difference between the original and this. I wanted him to look a bit more stony, and all he did was really highlight and gray it out so that it looked stone-ish. And I have a great appreciation for that highlighting of detail. Let's do the undead. Now these are just examples of what's available. These are not the grand total. I'm not going to show you every single thing. Actually, I'm going to turn these around like I did last time because my wrist does not turn that way. There we go. You know, these had turned kind of dingy white, and he went in and he painted them up and he brought the details out. I'm going to see if I can get those. closer to you. I don't know if you're going to be able to pick up the eyes or not. Really nifty stuff. Goblin, orc, this dude. No, let's do it from there. And what my fear is that on the camera it's going to come out cartoony. Now it's not as bright in my hand as it is on the camera. It would appear. Oh, jeepers. That last thing was a goblin. This is an orc, as you can probably tell if you've dealt with any Games Workshop stuff. Yes. Where is he? There he is. Chaos Warrior. Very, very nicely done. And finally, the Chaos Mage. I really like what he's done here. I very, very much like it. He really pops. He really screams magical dipshit. I absolutely love that. I get a little giddy whenever I open up this package. Time for the heroes. I'm going to start with what I feel is the least favorite amidst the heroes, and move my way up to what I feel is the most favorite amidst the heroes. And the reason why is just childhood experience and recent experience. So I'm going to start with the dwarf. See if you can see him pretty well. Yeah, just spin him around. Badass, huh? All right. Next up is the barbarian. And to let you know about my in-law who painted these, the sword on the barbarian was pretty well damaged. It had been bent, and there was a lot of stress damage on there. And he really did a good job. Let me put it against my black hat. Really good job repairing that. I mean, for damn. Anyways. Next up, my favorite character, but what seems like not everybody else's favorite character, is the wizard. Brought out a lot of detail on him. You can actually see his ring now, which was not easy to do. Put a little stubble on him. I don't know if you can see that. Really dressed him out pretty well. Pretty well. And finally, what I feel might be everybody's favorite, the guy who can do both, the elf. Let's see how close I can get. I don't know if you can see it, but his pouch is really brought out well. Okay. So, we covered the majority of stuff, didn't we? cards. Lots of, several decks of different cards. Treasure cards, spell cards, nasty bad things happening to you cards, monster cards. Can't end the show without these. Black shields for monster defense. White shields for hero defense, and if you get a set, you'll understand what this means. And white skulls mean hits, but only if it's on your turn. Movement dice. Somewhere out there, I still have one of my old movement dice from the original set. And if I do, I will find it and I will put it in here. What else should I show you? What else did I say I was going to show you? This is a character card. You build your character off of this. I don't know if I'm catching enough detail for you to read these, but if I am, just pause the video to be able to fully read these. There we go. Character sheets. I hate these character sheets. They're inaccurate at best. Or non-functional at best, I should probably say. Rule book. Probably go over this in greater detail at a later date. Quest book. Here is my issue with the Quest book. It's a fantastic game. Mind you, you only get one of these. You only get one of these. They give you a damn packet of character sheets, but they can't give you a packet of these? How many quests does this particular book have? HeroQuest 14. 14 quests. 14 quests. And they only give you one of these. That's obnoxious. My best friend in high school, he didn't care. Brandon Mackhart, as I keep mentioning, the game guru. If you ever wanted any advice, find him on Facebook. Do not bother him. He has a quite substantial family, more substantial than my own. As I always say, respect a man for his space, and I'm never going to give you complete details on him, as that would be rude and inappropriate of me. But if you happen to cross his path for whatever reason, and he has a minute and you're being respectable, ask him for some advice on storyline and gameplay. The things that he could teach you about running games, about characters, about storyline, literally would take a lifetime to learn. Probably shouldn't have even mentioned his name. The idiots out there are way too bothersome. Fortunately, there's a means by which to block. If you are going to pick up this game, pick up yourself a dice tower. It makes things simpler. Yes, I know that dice tower was a mess. Alright, I think I've shown you everything. Fantastic game. If you have the time and the opportunity to play it. Really. See you later.